Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Leaked audio clip is fake, says Zahid Hamidi. And Project Cartel syndicate selling fake work passes. Are we addressing the root cause of corruption in the civil sector? That's coming up. Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said a leaked audio recording allegedly of him and PKR President Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim is fake. The UMNO President said he was extremely disappointed and shocked by the clip that was circulated today, which he claimed is an attempt to destroy UMNO. He clarified that he never spoke to Anwar after the UMNO General Assembly.
In a statement, Zahid said he believes that there will be more despicable games like this to destroy the party. He gave his assurance that he will abide by the party's decision not to work with Anwar or DAP. This morning, a 4-minute video containing the recorded phone conversation purportedly between Zahid and Anwar was posted online. The two speakers discussed Zahid's speech at the UMNO Assembly, declaring that his party would contest the 15th general election on its own, and said this was not an end to their joint efforts. Last month, Anwar disclosed that PKR and UMNO have started preliminary discussions on the possibility of cooperating for the 15th general election. Zahid has denied this repeatedly in public.
The Malaysian Anticorruption Commission seized over 25 million ringgit worth of assets, including luxury cars, properties and cash from members of a syndicate specializing in fake work passes. This comes after 5 individuals were arrested yesterday, believed to be involved in a syndicate that hacks into the Immigration Department's database to issue fake temporary working visit pass.
In a joint press conference with the Immigration Department, MACC Chief Datuk Sri Azam Baki added that 147 bank accounts owned by 30 individuals have also been frozen. All suspects have been remanded for 6 days. Azam added that one of those arrested was formerly with the Immigration Department and that it is likely that this person's knowledge of the system is how the syndicate managed to maneuver its way around the system. The syndicate is believed to have made 4.7 million ringgit in 2018, producing fake work permits for foreign workers in the agricultural, manufacturing and service industries. Investigations are still ongoing, and they believe that the syndicate has been receiving help from inside the department.
Meanwhile, the Immigration Department is in the midst of tracking down over 21,000 foreign workers suspected of using the services of a temporary working visit pass syndicate since last year. He said the foreigners were believed to be working in various sectors, including plantation, manufacturing and cleaning services.
Director General Khairul Zaimi Daud said the syndicate that has been active for the past few years has been found not to involve the country's legal agents supplying the foreign labour. Those who brought the passes, he said, were individuals and employers. He added that the data on foreign workers is in the system and those involved will be detained and deported if found guilty of selling the temporary working visit pass. He said that although the syndicate managed to hack the system, they failed to change the blacklist status of foreigners who had been banned from entering the country.
A study conducted by the Malaysian Anticorruption Commission between 2013 to 2018 showed that over 42% of the complaints received involved the procurement sector. Just recently, a project cartel involving government projects worth billions of ringgit was busted by the MACC. Now, as an immediate response, the government said it will introduce several measures, such as requiring bidders in tender process to pay a 500,000 ringgit upfront bond and implementing work rotation for civil servants holding sensitive posts. Just how effective are these measures in tackling the abuses and corruption within the government? We speak to Cynthia Gabriel, founding and executive director of Centre to Combat Corruption and Chronism.
So this whole measures now being introduced by the government, like rotating the civil servants and the 500,000 for bidders to pay upfront, appears to be rather ad hoc and knee-jerk reactions without actually looking at the root cause of the problem and what is actually required, whether an entire overhaul would be really seriously and urgently required now. And what I mean by overhaul is that we need to price the light into public procurement system, to actually make it more open, more transparent, more public, so that public would also be public, as in the general citizen, like you and me, would be able to monitor certain projects, especially when it comes to works and when it comes to services.
Cynthia suggests a few measures to make the procurement system more transparent and less susceptible to abuses.
So the bill of quantities is something that provides all the details of what should actually go into a particular project, whether it's about repairing a playground or building a highway or something bigger than that, or actually constructing and erecting a hospital or a school. Now, the bill of quantities is something that I think the taxpayer, when I say the public, is the taxpayer, must be able to actually follow. My other recommendation is also to include independent professionals and civil society that works in this area of budgets, contracts, awarding of contracts, how to actually systematically make it more accountable. And of course, the other recommendation that has been put forward prior to this was the setting up of an ombudsman system to receive public complaints on public procurement, and an ombudsman that will be independent enough to be able to investigate and to call out the different departments or the different civil servants that could be involved in the whole thing. So there needs to be much stronger punitive action and enforcement action that follows, actually. So if this is not done, then I'm afraid the piecemeal, ad hoc, knee-jerk reactions just won't work.
Malaysia was not invited to participate in the Climate Action Conference hosted by the United States. Water and Environment Minister Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man said this was because Malaysia was not categorized as vulnerable to climate change. Is this the case? We speak to Ili Nadia Zulfaka, chairperson of Climate Action Malaysia.
And the impacts are already being felt by many vulnerable communities here. For example, the Petani Pesawah in the northern states in 2020, earlier 2020, last year only, there was a massive drought, there was a massive heat wave, and there are certain area in Kedah where the losses incurred up to more than RM1 million. So these are the Pesawah Petani, most of them are B40, under the B40 communities, they are already impacted. And the heat waves, the droughts that we are facing, for example, I think also earlier this year, there was a long drought, and the temperature was rising up. There were heat strokes, related illnesses, mortality, morbidity. Those data are still not known, not being shared. So it's not looking good for this country. And to add to that, earlier this year, we also have the massive, the flooding, some of the worst in certain states, for example, in Pahang. And that is attributed to the heavy precipitation that we are seeing. So to say that we are not vulnerable is quite misleading.
She said Malaysia is not learning enough from the impacts of the global pandemic towards lives and livelihood, which climate change may potentially lead to a greater impact in coming years.
There are actions being taken, but certainly some of the actions does not really reflect the kind of commitment that is being made throughout the Paris Agreement that was being struck during the COP in Paris. And I think there should be definitely more pressure and also political pressure that should be made to urge our politicians to take this issue as this crisis as something serious. It's a serious thing.
4 Malaysians have been added to Forbes billionaires list this year, joining 12 other locals with a net worth of over $1 billion. The 4 new entrants added into Forbes 35th annual list of billionaires include the Tan brothers of Mr. DIY Group.
Tan Yuye and Tan Yuwei made their debut with estimated net worths of $1.8 billion and $1.1 billion respectively. The brothers have seen their fortunes soar following the initial public offering of Mr. DIY on Bursa Malaysia in October last year, with a market capitalization of 10 billion ringgit upon listing. Westport Holdings founder Tan Sri G. Ganalingam was included in the list with an estimated net worth of $1.7 billion. Tan Eng Kee, co-founder and CEO of Penang's Greatech Technology, which produces machines for factory automation, became another one of the world's billionaires with an estimated net worth of $1.1 billion. Meanwhile, Hong Leong Group's Kwek Leng Chan topped the list of Malaysian billionaires with an estimated net worth of $9.7 billion. There are 16 billionaires in Malaysia, with Sugar King Robert Kwok listed under Hong Kong.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Di wilayah Selcom, kami bersedia untuk yang akan datang. Macam Suraya, siap untuk mesyuarat.
Welcome back. The World Health Organization has come out against vaccine passports for now, saying they may exacerbate unequal access to vaccines in many countries. While they understood the importance of international travel for economic recovery, the global vaccine supplies were currently too limited to introduce vaccine passports.
WHO would not like to see vaccination passport as a requirement for entry or exit because they are not certain at this stage that a vaccine prevents transmission. Apart from that, there is the question of discrimination against people who are not able to have the vaccine for one reason or another. WHO also warned against vaccine optimism, saying that current public health measures, such as wearing a face mask and practicing hand hygiene, should still continue despite the vaccination.
Japan cancelled Olympic torch relay events in Osaka as record COVID-19 infections prompted its government to declare a medical emergency. Health authorities fear a virus variant is unleashing a fourth wave of infections just less than 100 days before the Tokyo Olympics begins.
Osaka Governor Hirofumi Yoshimura said the street runs would be cancelled, adding that the medical system faced enormous strain as a more infectious variant sent cases skyrocketing among young people. The prefecture reported 878 new infections on Wednesday, a second straight day of record numbers. Severe cases have filled about 70% of hospital beds in the region. Osaka and the neighboring prefectures of Hyogo and Miyagi started a month of targeted lockdown measures on Monday.
An Iranian cargo ship anchored for years in the Red Sea of Yemen was attacked. The incident threatens to inflame tensions between Iran and Israel.
Iran's foreign ministry confirmed the attack, saying the MV Saviz, believed to be convert military base, was hit with an unknown explosion that caused minor damage. Israel was expected to have carried out the attack, but Tehran did not immediately blame its regional arch-enemy. Iran previously described the Saviz as aiding the anti-piracy efforts in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. However, the ship's long presence in the region has been criticized repeatedly by Saudi Arabia amidst claims that Iran has provided arms and support to Yemen's Houthi rebels in the country's years-long war.
Today on World Health Day, we celebrate health journalism and its invaluable role in helping us comprehend and respond to the pandemic this past year. On Consider This, Sharakutan and Melissa Idris speak to Azrul Muhammad Khalib and Bu Sulin about reporting and advocacy. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.